Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Just Talking Sports. My name is Modey here, and last year you might have saw my face or heard me on APSU-TV's Real Talk, but this year we're going to do a little bit different here. We will branch out into Spotify, Apple Music, and SoundCloud. The title will be just called Just Talking Sports. And last year, my partners and co-hosts, Emmett Thomas and Aaron King, they're no longer with us, but they're doing well in the sports industry and in comedy. But this year, I got two great friends of mine. The first one is going to be somebody I've knew since sophomore year. He was actually the first play-by-play announcer for me in my beginning of my commentary career. And that guy is Patton Cook. Patton, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Marcus, I appreciate you having me on. I know we miss some of the older guys and Aaron and Emmett, but I'm really excited to, as you mentioned, just talk some sports. That's why we're all here. We love sports, football, basketball, you name it. So I'm excited and get ready to go.
And my next partner and my next co-host, I've actually knew since freshman year. We was actually next door neighbors freshman year in our freshman dorms. Gabe, he's a really good friend of mine. He is a Patriots fan, guys, so you might have to watch out. He's going to be a little bit biased in a few minutes. But, Gabe, how are you doing this afternoon?
What's up, Marcus? I appreciate you inviting me on the show. Yes, we were neighbors. I came to college, didn't really know what I wanted to do. A few teachers kind of inspired me to join, and you honestly have been an inspiration for me in going about my way. So I appreciate it. Let's have some fun.
It is 2:26 here on the campus of Austin Peay, WAPX-FM, Clarksville's 91.9. And the first thing we're going to talk about, guys, is going to be Austin Peay. It's been 3 games here in this football season. Guys, I just want to ask you, what was your thoughts on the first 2 games?
Well, I've had a chance to commentate 2 of the games on ESPN Plus, the North Carolina Central and then the Central Arkansas game. First, against North Carolina Central, I was really impressed with Austin Peay. I had some questions on what they were going to do, whether that's with their defensive line, their offensive line, and how well could the quarterback play, because there's some ups and downs with Jeremiah Oatsfall last year, but I think he got it done, specifically with Jeremiah Oatsfall. His first game had a couple interceptions, but he showed that he could really push the ball down the field. I liked how he was doing with that, and one big shout-out I'd like to give is that offensive line of Austin Peay. Only one returning starter in Kyle Anderton, and really I thought him and his offensive lineman knocked it out of the park, gave Jeremiah time, and gave Kentel a lot of running room, 11 yards per carry. And whenever a guy like Kentel has that yardage, I don't care who it is. He can play an NFL team. If your running back has 11 yards per carry with over 10 carries, give me Kentel.
Austin Peay did win that game. They beat North Carolina Central 41-10, so it was a lopsided affair. Gabe, your thoughts?
I think that we played a solid game, especially on defense. Our defense is outstanding this year, and if our offensive line can hold up, keeping our quarterbacks protected. I know Oatsfall did end up going down at a later game. If we can just keep our quarterbacks protected, keep these running lanes open, and our receivers, Wilson, he's balling out this year. So I think we'll do great.
D'Angelo Wilson in that first game did have 3 touchdowns, 6 receptions, and 106 yards. But as Gabe said, in that second game against Central Arkansas, they did not come out with a win. And Jeremiah Oatsfall did come out with a foot injury early on in that game, so Javon Craig had to step up. That first half wasn't the best against Central Arkansas. The score was only 3-0, and really they couldn't really just get it done in that second game.
No, in that first half, whenever Jeremiah Oatsfall, your star quarterback, I believe he is one of the FCS players of the year to watch for, and when he goes down in the first quarter, it's always going to be tough. With a quarterback, you're going to need that guy to be consistent, and then when you've got to bring in another guy who hasn't been getting the first-team reps, hasn't been kind of getting used to his first-team receivers, there's going to be some growing pains. But for me, I thought Javon Craig played one of his better games as an Austin Peay Governor. A lot of questions whether he would come back this year. Had some chances to me. I think he could have started at a lot of places in the FCS. Instead, he kind of stays here, stays with Bryce Robinson, stays with Jeremiah Oatsfall, kind of lead these guys to where they want to be, and that's an OVC championship. But although they didn't get it done, I thought one of the big things that Javon showed was that he could push the ball down the field, had 2 or 3 opportunities which he capitalized on. It was just those intermediate throws, and to me, that's when he gets too excited, sees an open guy, wants to make the right pass, but just can't do it. But as we saw, we'll talk about this a little later on, Javon Craig got the first team snaps last week, and in this upcoming game, he showed exactly what he could do playing a near-perfect game.
And Javon Craig went 14 of 30 for 185 yards and a 76-yard pass to Benico Harley. But outside of that, it really wasn't a lot for Javon Craig in the offense. It was a lot of chances in that red zone, but they settled for field goals. And Central Arkansas is a really good team in the FCS.
Ranked.
They are ranked. They was ranked 16 at the time when they played Austin Peay, and they never had doubted themselves. And the week before, they had came back with a victory against Western Kentucky, and they never doubted themselves when they was down early in that second half against Austin Peay, and then they came out with their victory.
And give credit to Central Arkansas, because their offense wasn't working at all the entire first half. You had Austin Peay in the quarterback's face, Braylon Smith. But to me, one of the things that Austin Peay had to be kicking themselves over was, I believe, the 2 touchdowns that Braylon Smith had. They were underthrown balls, and it just took the corner or the safety to turn his head around, just get his hands on the ball. And that's probably some technique they worked a little bit more on last week, as we saw they created some turnovers against Mercer. But although a tough loss for Austin Peay, a terrific win for Central Arkansas, because that's 2 weeks in a row they fought back, found ways to win. And to me, you're going to see this team in Central Arkansas fight for possibly an FCS championship, because when you've got Lawan Winningham and a quarterback like Braylon Smith, I don't care who your defense is, you're going to have some problems.
And we're going to switch until last Saturday, as Austin Peay went on the road to Atlanta to play on Mercer, and they came out with a win. And it was a really good win for the Governors. The score was 48-34, and you said the interceptions, 2 interceptions by Cordell Jackson. Cordell Jackson even got a sack. He was also OVC Player of the Week. What was you guys' thoughts about this game on Saturday?
I think it was Craig's best game of his collegiate career. Also, the offensive line, shout out to them, no sacks allowed. Wilson, Barnes both go for 100-plus yards receiving. Their defense shut down their run game. There was nothing they could do in the run game. I believe that Austin Peay just came to play. Mercer, they played okay, but, yeah, Austin Peay's defense was just nuts.
And any time you turn the ball over, not only turn the ball over with 2 interceptions, but when you take them to the house both times, that's a recipe for disaster. And Mercer found that out the hard way. But for Austin Peay, give them a lot of credit. They had some adversity. You had some adversity you're going to see. Can Javon Craig, once he gets those snaps, or there was even questions whether Jeremiah Oatsfall would be ready. I wasn't so sure. I would say give him a week, let Oatsfall come back for OVC play as they get ready to take on Jacksonville State in a few games. But all credit to Austin Peay. They had some adversity early on in that game, kind of fought back, had block punts, had 2 interceptions for touchdowns. And Marcus, you mentioned it off air. Once you can get your special teams and defense working, it doesn't matter what your offense does to me, because if you can get those 2 categories in check, that's winning football.
And in the red zone opportunities for the Governors, they went 6 of 7. If you go 6 of 7, there's a very good chance you're going to win a football game. And then you have those 2 pick sixes. You have that block punt on the special teams. It was just not destined for them, but it gave them better chances.
Right.
Absolutely.
Moving on to next week, the Govs will play Eastern Tennessee State University, ETSU. I think those guys are going to come out with another victory.
Yep.
Kentel Williams is still going to be one of the best running backs in the FCS. Hopefully they can get it done on the road once again.
And Kentel didn't have a huge night last week, only had 68 yards on 4 yards per carry, and to him that looks criminal on his career average last year on 8 yards per carry. But look to him to have a big game, and look for him to get the ball early, even if that's not on the ground. Give him maybe a few screen passes, get him involved early, because one of the most talented players in the FCS, and Austin Peay's got him, and they want him to succeed as this is his senior year. And who knows, we might see Kentel at the next level. May not be here in America, maybe over in Canada, but really like Kentel, and I hope he gets a huge game next week against Eastern Tennessee.
Absolutely. I like to give some shout-outs to some defensive guys. John Whiteside, Cameron Miller, Wontarius Bryant. Both Miller and Bryant both had 8 tackles. Whiteside had 9 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss. So that's amazing. Defense is going crazy this year.
And I would like to also give credit to that secondary. Against Central Arkansas, there was a lot of questionable things that was happening.
Yeah. We moved Isaiah
we did.
to cornerback.
Isaiah, after Tobin went down with an injury, I believe, Isaiah Norman had to move from strong safety to DB. And that first game, he actually did pretty good. A few deflected passes, broken up passes.
Mm-hmm.
So the sky's really the limit for the Governors right now as they about to head into OVC play in 2 weeks.
And they've had some health issues with a couple of their secondaries. You mentioned James Tobin. They've also got Erskine Francis. He went down in that Central Arkansas game.
That's who it was.
They've had some trouble, and give credit to Austin Peay. They've kind of shifted some guys, and that shows the versatility of this team. They've got guys who can play safety, corner, nickelback, and that's exactly what head coach Mark Hudspeth wants, is versatility guys that can do multiple jobs, and that leads to different guys getting in, and all credit to them.
I'm sorry, James, if you were watching this. That was Francis that went down with that injury. But shout out to Isaiah, just switching and being versatile as possible. And we're going to switch things to the NFL because a lot of things happen within these first 2 weeks.
Yes.
And I feel like Gabe is going to want to talk first on this segment because he is a Patriots fan. What was your thoughts on this first 2 weeks for being a Patriots fan?
Well, we already knew we were going to steamroll whoever. Well, the Steelers game.
Yeah.
I wasn't surprised that we beat them. I guess I was surprised how we steamrolled them, and then we get AB. Dolphins are a train wreck, so we already knew we were going to steamroll them. But AB, first pass, as Patton mentioned earlier, first pass, AB, touchdown, AB. As long as he understands, honestly, I hope that we just force feed him the ball. I hope we give him 10 looks a game.
Mm-hmm.
But if there are games where he just gets 4 receptions and maybe a touchdown, it's the Patriot way. As long as he's okay with that, I'm okay with him.
I'll go a little bit back. I'll say I was shocked that Antonio Brown went to the Patriots, but at this point you just learn to kind of accept these things. They happen. The rich get richer. How it happens, us noble people will never know. But to me, I was call me weird. I was excited for Antonio Brown because I think he's had some troubles, and I think this move to New England could really put his life in a different direction because he was starting to become a little bit of a troublemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Had the Steelers incident where he was getting all the touches and he still wasn't happy, which was kind of just shocking, and he forced his way out of there, went to Oakland.
Unfortunately.
That just didn't work from the start. I remember just I moved on campus and it seemed like every day I was reading different updates. Every hour I was reading, he's staying, he's playing, he's going, he wants out,
Patton,
he's at the Patriots. What's going on?
Please, I don't want to think about that right now because I am a Raiders fan and I had to go through that. In the summertime, I was watching Antonio Brown highlights thinking that, man, we have Antonio Brown, one of the best receivers. And then now he's with the Patriots, and I'm just now realizing that he really just didn't want to be in Oakland.
No.
Ben Roethlisberger was better than Derek Carr, and the team for the Steelers was better than the Raiders as a whole. So, he wasn't going to be in playoff contentions, and this is his prime years. So he wanted out, and he did everything he could possibly do.
And it looks like from the beginning, New England was where he wanted to be. New England was offering the Steelers multiple picks to get Antonio Brown. Steelers being the noble team, they thought, we're not giving Antonio Brown to the Patriots. You can go away with that.
Noble.
And now now that this happens, Antonio Brown just gets to sign with the Patriots. Patriots have given up absolutely nothing to get one of the best receivers in the game. But, Gabe, you were talking about the Miami game and his first touches. I don't think that's by accident at all. To get Antonio Brown the ball, kind of get him some feel with Tom Brady, because one of the big things that Antonio Brown does is he doesn't really follow the route. He'll just kind of feel his way, how the corner's playing him. And Tom Brady's not a huge fan of that. He likes to know where you're going to be at times, but to see that those two already had catches and already had a little bit of a relationship going, that just shows how great this possible matchup could be.
But also, you're getting the touches and stuff now. So now Antonio Brown, when playoff time hit, he has a feel for Tom Brady on where he wants to throw it. So when Tom Brady's in doubt, he can just look for Antonio, and Antonio will be in that right spot.
Exactly, and we'll see how exactly it plays out, because we haven't seen just yet on how Antonio Brown takes a Tom Brady 12 passes for 100 yards and they go Sony Michel for 300 yards. We'll see how that works out. I think, to me, he's where he wants to be and he wants to win. And although he was winning in Pittsburgh, they were always finding a way to lose to the Patriots, and I think he's going to be happy in New England.
All right, this is too much time on the Patriots talk because, just being honest, they should win 13 games this year.
Yeah.
13 would be a disappointment. If we win 13, we had a bad season.
Because that defense is outrageous, and they're playing nobody.
If you ever hear me say my favorite team, if they don't win 13 games, it's a failure, just rip my heart out, please.
Something is wrong. I might be going to jail. Just being honest.
Out.
That is my cue of saying that the Oakland Raiders are winning 13 games. Something is wrong. I've been kidnapped. But next, we're going to talk about more like the Ravens, Lamar Jackson being really hot. Dallas Cowboys, even though I don't like the fan base, but they're really looking like a Super Bowl contention. I'm excited for these first 2 weeks. And also, I would like to point out with the Ravens, yes, they're looking hot, but it's only been against the Dolphins and the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's a lot of people in the media right now kind of pumping up Lamar Jackson, and you could say for good reason, because even against these bad teams last year, he wasn't airing the ball out like he is right now, and he's got a really great young talent in Marquise Brown. I wanted my Titans to pick him up. We've got A.J. Brown instead, but even last year when he came up against these games, he wasn't trusting himself, and I think in college he showed that he's more than capable of airing the ball out, not only on these short passes, but throwing the ball deep. But give credit to John Harbaugh and giving him the will to go out and pass the ball. Moving over to the Patriots, for me, this looks like a dangerous team because Dak Prescott, similarly to Lamar Jackson, he's elevated his game even more somehow, and he's playing on a contract year. Credit to Dak, because he didn't take the Ezekiel Elliott route. He didn't sit out all of training camp, not give his wide receivers any chances at all to kind of reform a relationship. Instead, he stayed with the team, and he's just going to let his contract play out as it will.
I think Lamar Jackson is looking like Cam 2.0. The way that he's slinging this ball around the field and the way he can move with his legs, like he's making it do what it does, as my friend Trey would say. He's playing phenomenal. As far as the Cowboys, I believe that it was a 4-horse race for the NFC. Cowboys, Saints, Rams, and who am I forgetting? NFC.
Saints. You already
Eagles,
said the Saints.
Eagles, yes. And
the Saints have already got knocked out. Drew Brees, I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later, but as you mentioned, I think it's just a 3-horse race as of now record-wise.
Absolutely. So we'll see who finishes on top.
Shout out to Jerry World getting those pieces together. Jerry World might not have did all that, but Dak Prescott has more weapons than he's had in his NFL career. He's being a lot more confident, throwing the ball deep, something that a lot of people question. He has Michael Gallup, who did get somewhat injured. He's going to have surgery, but he should be back in about 4 weeks. But that deep ball threat, then having a upgraded Cole Beasley and Randall Cobb, and then he still has that man behind him who led the league in rushing yards for 3 straight years. It's gonna be looking pretty good. And I did say this earlier off the air. Dak Prescott looking like a money man, waiting on those Brink trucks.
He is going on the pay the man run.
Exactly. And I was one of the big I was very befuddled, I guess would be the word, on the the Cooper trade with the Raiders, and now that's looking even more genius because from that pick that the Raiders got, I think they got Jonathan Abrams. I believe you can correct me on that, Marcus, but to me, if you're going to pick between Jonathan Abrams and Cooper all day. And a lot of the times Jerry gets a lot of criticism. He kind of keeps his hands in the team too much. That's got his hands all over it. He wants a big-time receiver, and he's getting exactly that.
Absolutely. If y'all don't mind, I'd like to talk Bears-Packers.
Oh, goodness.
Oh, man. I think, as we said, the Saints might be knocked out of this. I looked at their schedule. They'll probably go like 3-3 at best over these next, 6 games is Drew Brees out? 3-3 at best. So if anybody was to sneak back in, Packers. I underestimated the Packers' defense, and I think I also underestimated Kirk Cousins' ability to lose big-time games.
Great points, Gabe, I would like to say, because Kirk Cousins looked awful. Just plain and simple. He looked awful. The throws that he was making in the red zone, questionable throws.
Oh, man.
Those interceptions didn't make it even better. Dalvin Cook was having a monster game.
How do you lose? How do you lose that? I don't think the Packers scored in the second. Did they score in the second half?
They scored all 21 points, I believe, in the first quarter, if I'm not mistaken. They didn't score any more after that. But Kirk Cousins, you just need him at that point not to lose you the game.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what
just don't lose.
Just throwing it as far as he can into the end zone, in the red zone, 1st and 10, and you do that. It's just kind of inexcusable. But I'd like to talk a little bit on the Bears. I don't like that team at all. I don't like their offense at all. I think their defense could carry them maybe to a divisional round. But once you get in playoff football, teams are going to take away what you do so well. And if you can't run the ball with, I believe, Tariq Cohen, and they've got another rookie running back,
David Montgomery.
Mitchell Trubisky's getting exposed right now. He's got one read,
awful.
And if it doesn't work for him, he's in trouble. And even when the first read's there, he's not making the throws. And that's trouble because they traded up for him. And they've kind of, I believe, Patrick Mahomes was in that exact same. Deshaun Watson. He had those two guys alone are arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So Bears are in trouble if Mitchell doesn't get this thing kind of figured out because he's got weapons more than anyone, I believe, on the offensive end.
With Mitchell right now, those progressions have been questionable. Sometimes he hasn't went through all his progressions, or he has somebody open, as you said, and don't throw him the ball.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it seems like he has been less confident now than he was even last year. But he still has the same weapons. Even though you don't have Jordan Howard, you have David Montgomery, who you can hand the ball off to.
Sure.
I don't know why they wasn't handing the ball off more to Montgomery. You still got Tariq Cohen. Don't always have Tariq Cohen in the slot though. Bring him out of the backfield because that linebacker to running back matchup, Tariq is going to eat.
Trouble.
Yeah.
And luckily for them, they've got that defense with Khalil Mack and Eddie Jackson and multiple other guys. Them alone is going to get them into the playoffs to me. I don't think there's many teams at all, and we saw that with the Packers on how much they struggled to move the ball. But to me, Mitchell's doing that team, that defense, an injustice on not pushing the ball downfield and just scoring any kind of points because the defense alone is going to win you playoff games.
Yeah.
If they can score more than 17 points, that's
Right.
what it seems like.
Crazy.
If you're the Bears fans, good luck to you guys
Right.
because I don't know if they want to. They don't want to just throw 3 touchdowns. They don't want to score 21 points. It seemed like you lost to the Broncos. That game, well, you didn't lose. You won to the Broncos, but you barely put up any points.
Correct.
You win by 1. Come on now.
Yep.
So switching on to now, as Gabe talked about Drew Brees being out, is these quarterback injuries. Big Ben for the Pittsburgh Steelers out for the year with an elbow injury. Drew Brees, he's going to be out at least 6 weeks. Could be longer with his hand injury. The Jets quarterbacks, Sam Darnold, out with mono indefinitely. Trevor Siemian, he's out for the year now with an ankle injury. Then you have Cam Newton. As Gabe said, Lamar Jackson might be a 2.0, but Cam Newton
Might
could-
see Will Greer this week.
might see Will Greer because Cam Newton's potentially out with a foot injury, and he still has that lingering shoulder.
Yep.
Seem like he hasn't been 100%. So I would like to ask y'all, what will these teams do now, seeing that these quarterbacks are getting hurt and trying to protect their most precious franchise piece?
To me, I think this gives teams a little more incentive to have a backup plan. I believe the Saints are really the only team to me that have a true backup plan in
Mhm.
Teddy Bridgewater. I know there are not a ton of backups just out on the market willy-nilly, just available to pick up, but Cam Newton with the Carolina Panthers, he's shown he gets nicked up pretty easily. And I know they've drafted Will Greer. You're going to throw this guy out in his first start, try to take over for Cam Newton in a tough NFC? Maybe. But for Big Ben and the Steelers, I think this raises a big concern. How much longer does Big Ben have? I don't believe the organization is going to push him out of the door at all. I believe it's all up to him.
Mm-hmm.
And all Big Ben has done throughout the years is talk about retirement. That's his buzzword. It's he just loves talking about it, giving Steelers fans heart attacks. But we'll see how much longer he wants this, because we just saw a quarterback in Andrew Luck, somewhat healthy, just perfectly walk away without a little to no regret. And I think we might see that a little more and more with guys who just get banged up because their organization is too inept to surround them with a plausible offensive line, a stable core of wide receivers, and just not kill them in their first few years. And I'd love to get some of your guys' takes.
Yes, like I said, I think the Saints, they'll be able to do fine. They do have some pretty tough games coming up. You said the Steelers won't push out Big Ben. I think they should. I'm a Patriots fan. I love you, Brady.
Stop being biased.
I know. No, I'm saying I love you, Brady, but I did want to keep Garoppolo because I know I might have another 10 years of him, but looks like we're going to have another 10 years of Brady. So I just hope the league doesn't overreact. I know a few years ago, whenever they implemented all these rules of you can't hit the quarterback high and you can't hit the quarterback low. Well, what can you do to the quarterback?
And luckily, a lot of these injuries aren't kind of low hits, high hits, middle hits. With Drew Brees, it's just a simple Aaron Donald throwing his hand up there, and Drew Brees looks like he breaks his thumb.
Yeah.
With Big Ben, I don't even know if there's any contact at all, just throwing the ball per se. But Trevor Siemian, I think that was a dirty hit by Myles Garrett. As a Titans fan, I saw him do that multiple times. He straight up just slapped Delaney Walker across the face. Late hits on Mariota multiple times. To me, we're not talking. The media is not talking about a dirty player in Myles Garrett. He did it again for Trevor Siemian. Looked like he broke his ankle and somehow just walks off. So that to me is one of the only kind of dirty hits we saw from these injuries. Luckily, because I don't believe we're going to see too much of a change in the rules. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I think one thing to point out is that teams are going to try to focus more on that offensive line, because right now Carson Wentz, he was holding his ribs last Sunday against the Falcons. Patrick Mahomes in the first week, he hurt his ankle, so he's been on a bum ankle, still throwing down for touchdowns. And then Deshaun Watson, he was holding his back
Week one
against the Saints, because after that 20-yard dive touchdown run. So now they were like, oh, hold on, guys. There's too many quarterbacks getting hurt. All right, we're going to have to put more into this offensive line. We got to say, hey, y'all got to give us time. You got to give our quarterback time, because if he can't throw the football to our receivers, we can't do nothing. If he's down for the count for the Saints, just for instance, Drew Brees automatically made the Saints Super Bowl contenders. With Drew Brees out, Teddy Bridgewater, the odds decreased immediately.
Tremendously.
Taysom Hill, immediately, because we all know that Drew Brees and the backups are not the same. So if you are these Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson, as the Texans went and got Tunsil from the Dolphins, does it make the Texans offensive line better? A little bit.
Not much.
Not much. But you're going to see teams really just come out and try to be like, yo, we have to help out our quarterback. The Steelers, do you have faith in Mason Rudolph than Big Ben? Steelers fans are not going to be a lot sold. The only person that's going to see upside if you're the Steelers, it's James Washington because they was teammates at Oklahoma State.
Right. Yep.
That's about it. If you're Steelers, you're gonna be worried about James Conner, who got hurt last week. Juju, who's supposed to be that number 1 receiver, but is he going to be able to get the touches that he wants with Mason Rudolph, who is the backup quarterback? It's going to be tough to see.
Yep, it is. It is. Talking about another injury-prone quarterback, Mariota. How do we feel about those Titans?
See, that was a great segue, Gabe, because I know Patton is ready to take off because the Titans lost, and he got that first-hand experience against the Colts. I called that game, not called it like commentary, but me and Patton, Patton and Gabe actually did predictions about it, and I said the Colts was going to win. Jacoby Brissett, he got it done.
He sure did. I was at Nissan Stadium, the hottest game in Nissan Stadium history. I was there for that one, and I was there for the coldest one 2 years ago against the Jags. So lucky me. But I know a lot of people are Mariota in, Mariota out. First, I'm going to bring a rational thought. Let's wait till Taylor Lewan gets back.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some holes on that offensive line. Got Dennis Kelly at left tackle. By no means is he a scrub, but he's not the all-pro left tackle that Taylor Lewan is. So, to me, let him get back. But a message, I'd like to give a little message to all Titans fans. Have we forgotten Jake Locker, Zach Mettenberger, Rusty Smith? Have we forgotten these guys? Have we forgotten 2-14 seasons? Have we forgotten 3-13 seasons? One thing Mariota has done for us, gave us 3 straight 9-7 seasons. Give him credit. He's not the greatest quarterback in the world, nor is he ever going to be. There's not top 10 quarterbacks in NFL history lying around like some of these people thinks there are. Give Mariota a chance. Let him. Last week we were singing his praises. He played a great game against the Browns. Let's not be so bipolar that we're just going to switch Mariota in to, I want Mariota out right now. I want him away from this team. Give him a chance, for goodness sakes. Let Taylor Lewan come back. Let us not play a top 10 defense in the Colts. Let's see what he does against Jacksonville this Thursday night. I'm going to turn my mic off.
Now, Patton, I got some more questions for you because it seems like Titans fans don't realize this, but outside of Taylor Lewan and Delanie Walker, name the other Pro Bowlers during Mariota's career.
And supposedly Jack Conklin, he was an all-pro his rookie year. I haven't seen anything close to an all-pro performance since he got hurt and that in his rookie year at New England in the playoff game. So other than him, you've got, as you mentioned, Taylor Lewan and Delanie Walker, a lot of young receivers cores. We got A.J. Brown and Corey Davis. Give them time to develop, for goodness sakes. Let's not just throw him out to the wolves right now, say he's finished.
Exactly, because it was only one on the offensive side. Since Mariota got into the league in the NFL, it's only been one other person. That's
right,
Derrick Henry.
Exactly, and we're 1-1 right now. It's not like we're 0-2, 0-3, 0-4. Let's just kind of breathe just a little bit. I know I was just as upset as anyone after the final drive where we spiked the ball on 3rd and 10 to make it 4th and 2. Let's just take a breath, go week by week, take a breath.
It wasn't Derrick Henry. It was DeMarco Murray in 2016.
Oh, yes. Yep.
So if that's only one person outside of Delanie Walker and Taylor Lewan Pro Bowlers, none other on the offensive line, correct? How is he going to see his receivers? What receivers does he have that is top of the line, top tier, like Patrick Mahomes?
And I think if you just give Corey Davis and A.J. Brown some chances, who knows? But I'm not ready to just throw this guy out and pick up Joe Schmo off the street for us to go 2-14 again.
Because also, like, Mariota hasn't just been Gabe said he C+. I gave him higher than C+. I think he's a B-. Because I think he's better than an average quarterback. Because I'm gonna ask Patton, I'm gonna ask you, Gabe, as well. Mm-hmm. Are you taking Jameis Winston or Marcus Mariota?
Give me Marcus Mariota.
I'm taking Mariota only because Jameis Winston's arm is broken.
Now look, because they both back-to-back picks.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, Titans fans, who was thinking, let's get Winston. let's get Mariota. It's a toss-up. Now, if you're going to say kick out Mariota, but Jameis Winston is still on the NFL team.
He's playing awful.
And one thing you don't have to worry about with Mariota is what you do have to worry about with Winston off the field.
Absolutely.
Numerous times we've had Jameis Winston get called into police stations for crab legs and other situations. So let's just chill out a little bit and give Mariota a chance. I know he's not perfect. No one's going to be perfect. No quarterback's going to have a perfect game when you've got defenders in your face after 2 seconds after Jameel Douglas gets blown up from the line, our third-string right guard. So, and to me, I'd like to go a little bit on John Robinson. You cut our 2 guards not only to draft Nate Davis, who hasn't practiced, hasn't been in training camp, hasn't done anything. You cut Quentin Spain. You cut I'm so upset I can't remember the other right guard, but you cut those 2 guys only to have Jameel Douglas come in and fill in. And you're killing our quarterback, and you're not giving him a chance to succeed. Shame on you, John Robinson.
And Robinson, that's who I blame first off, because one thing that other GMs are now realizing now, if you're going to draft a quarterback, give him pieces that's going to make him excel. That's one thing that people back in the day, they wouldn't really just focus. They was focused on their quarterback, but they'd rather hand the ball off. They might give him one receiver, but they're not going to give him a complete to fit his system. Marcus Mariota, his best receiver is Corey Davis, A.J. Brown. Like, yes, they're young players. That's the thing. So you have to give them time to go and get the football. You have to give Mariota time to see the progressions.
Yeah, it starts at the line.
It starts at the line, and then give him the receivers that he needs. Also, Derrick Henry. Yes, Derrick Henry now, Titans fans was talking about him last season. He's still inconsistent. We should get rid of him. Deion Lewis. What has Deion Lewis done for the Titans right now?
Not much.
Would you rather
much.
have Derrick Henry right now, he's been doing a pretty good job in these first couple weeks? Would you rather have Derrick Henry or Deion Lewis? Because Deion Lewis isn't going to really just tote the football like Derrick Henry will.
Deion Lewis has had the same amount of snaps than Derrick Henry in both games. Tell me how that works. Tell me how Deion Lewis, who drops multiple passes against, I believe, is the Browns, and I believe is also last week against the Colts, how is he getting the same amount of carries from a guy who since December 6th leads the NFL in rushing?
It doesn't make any sense.
And then now that you lost to the Colts because the Colts didn't have Andrew Luck, keep in mind he went undefeated against the Titans. Like, not one loss. It was a bagel. 0 losses against the Titans. And get mad because now Mariota got to go because he lost to Jacoby Brissett. The Colts still had a better team.
Yeah, they do have a better team. So we'll see how far the Colts go. I'm interested to see.
Because I have the Colts winning that division. People looking at me crazy, but I don't have faith in the Jags because Nick Foles out with a clavicle injury. He's done. Deshaun Watson, that offensive line is still awful. Marcus Mariota. People, as Titans fans right now, this is over with. We're not making the playoffs. We're not going to get in the wild card. The AFC is too tough for us right now. It's just time to just get rid of them. Nobody has faith in nobody, and that's why I chose the Colts because the Colts look like the better team on both sides.
All around.
Indeed.
Sure.
Indeed. You want to do some quick hits for next week's games?
Let's go ahead.
I think game of the year next week. Yeah, we got a game of the year candidate. Chiefs at Ravens. All right, is it at Ravens? I believe it's at Ravens.
I believe so, yeah.
I think that's going to be a good old-fashioned shootout. I'm interested to see Panthers Cards.
It's at Kansas City.
Is it at Kansas City? Okay. Chiefs Ravens at Kansas City. I'm interested to see that. Every week it seems like a Cam versus ex-quarterback. So let's see, Cam versus Kyler. Daniel Jones will be getting the start with the Giants versus the Bucks. The Bucks aren't that good, so let's see how he plays. And I guess Steelers, San Francisco.
First, I'm going to go with Kansas City. I don't see Lamar Jackson being able to keep up with Patrick Mahomes because this is going to be the first week that Lamar Jackson is going to have to score touchdowns. The past few weeks, you didn't really have to. You could kind of get away with kicking field goals. This week, Patrick Mahomes doesn't settle for field goals. This guy's on pace for 50 touchdowns again. 6,000 yards somehow. And so we'll see. Give me the Chiefs in that one.
I've got the Chiefs winning that game. I think Patrick Mahomes might throw for 4 touchdowns again. Not in a quarter, but I think he's going to still have a dynamic game. I think Lamar Jackson can still torch up the Chiefs' defense because the Chiefs' defense is not the best. Their secondary is not the best. So don't be surprised if their hype still goes on, but I got the Chiefs winning that one.
As you said, Chiefs' defense isn't great. I got the Ravens winning. Let's see if Jackson can light it up.
One game I would like to point out also before we end it is the Rams versus Browns on Sunday night. That's going to be a pretty good game. I think the Rams might come out on top.
Yeah, we just saw the Browns on Monday night a few days ago. Still don't look very good at all to me.
Mm-hmm.
Baker Mayfield's missing throws he was hitting with ease last year, and to me that's them not running the ball enough. Once again, they're getting pass happy. That's what got them in trouble against the Titans in Week 1. To me, I think the Rams will expose every weakness that offense has to offer, and Jared Goff is going to just keep doing what he does, making the right decisions and turning around and handing the ball off to number 30.
Nick Chubb, Baker Mayfield, feed him. He's really good. Patton, thank you guys.
Yep.
Gabe, thank you. And also to our graduate assistant and technical director, Joe Palmer.
Yes, sir.
Right behind us.
Joe.
We just want to conclude episode 1 of Just Talking Sports. We just want to say a good afternoon. Everybody, hope you enjoy your day.